Hi everybody, it's Nicole McGork here with this week's From Start to Finish video brought to you by 2peasinthebucket.com. This week's layout is part of the design school feature going on at 2Ps this next few weeks, and I am featuring the design concept of continuity and unity. And as I go through how I'm creating my layout, I will talk a little bit about how I achieved both of those design principles throughout my layout. The first thing I'm going to do is I am going to trim some of these papers from my little shoebox for my layout. And this is going to provide some continuity and unity for my page simply because I'm using papers all from one single collection and they automatically all coordinate and go together really nicely. So I'm creating my background here by cutting a few paper strips from some of the papers in this collection. And I wanted to focus mostly on the aquas and blues and yellows and a little bit of green to draw those colors directly out of my photographs for my page. So I'm just trimming a couple more strips here. You can see I've die cut my title from this paper as well. Getting the most out of a single sheet of paper is something I try to do often. And then I have some photos here. I've got 3 2x3 photos and 1 4x6 photo. And I'm going to create a border of those photos along the bottom edge there. Not clear at the bottom of the page, but about an inch from the bottom, I'm going to create a border of photos. And you can see that a lot of times I do construct my pages this way, either in borders going horizontally or vertically, but this also provides some nice continuity and unity as well. It's the same sort of design from the top of the page all the way down to the bottom. My die cut title, this is something that you can customize. This title actually came with the top 10 in a different format. The word list was separate, but the top 10 was stacked one word on top of another. And for my page, I really needed a horizontal title that would stretch across the top of my design. So you can see here with the black cardstock, I actually did switch that out on the finished page to dark brown cardstock. I thought it looked better, but I did the same thing. The black cardstock is the shadow. But what I did here was trim that so that I could stretch it out. When I picked this title, it was really the title I wanted because it coordinated with the journaling block I'm going to show you. So I made sure that it would look okay cut apart, and I went ahead and just cut it as it was and then just trimmed it. And you can see that it doesn't affect the design at all. So don't be afraid to cut up those die cuts or those die cut designs and use them however works best for your page. Also, this design is available from the Silhouette store, and I will link that in my product listing at 2Ps. I'm punching a couple borders from some craft cardstock now. I wanted a little bit of a solid border that would help separate some of these pattern paper designs one from another, plus add the scallop edge of this apron lace punch adds a nice feminine, delicate feel, I think. It's one of my favorites. It's one of my most often used border punches. So I'm going to go ahead and cut several of those and kind of layer them here as I put together my page. I have not adhered anything yet. I like to wait until I kind of have the page designed how I want it before I do any adhering of the elements. Okay, to stamp some accents for my page, I'm using one of these Lost and Found 2 6x6 paper pads from My Mind's Eye. And then I have a label punch here. This one happens, or label stamp rather, I'm sorry, from Paper Tray Ink. If you have label stamps from somewhere else, or maybe you could use label stickers even, I just happen to use these because I needed something a little bit bigger. These will work with a 1 3/4 inch circle punch. And I'm just using a scrap of ledger paper. And then I'm going to take the August Studio AE stamp set by Ali Edwards, and I'm going to create some cute little accents for my page. One of my favorite things to do is to create my own accents and not use something pre-made. And these are very simple to do, and you could make as many of these as you want to and use them in so many different ways. I love this stamp set this month. It's really versatile. It has a bunch of really fun phrases, and I'm going to use several of them on my page today. So there I've stamped my accents. I'm going to punch those out with my 1 3/4 inch circle punch. And I did end up doing one more of these. I don't think I recorded it. I did these 2 initially, and I thought I needed one more to kind of balance out the page and to have a circle accent near the top of the page, all in with keeping with the unity of the design and everything. So there will be one more of those on the finished design. I'm simply laying out some of my pieces now. I'm going to look for another sheet of paper. I kind of like that cream background I just passed. I need something to stamp my journaling block on, and I'm going to be using a stamp from Stamping Bella, and these are unmounted rubber stamps. So I'm going to show you what I do to stamp with these designs, because there's a whole bunch that are really great for scrapbooking. There's some really great definitions and some great journaling type stamped designs. So I'm going to use this cream background. Now I already have an acrylic block that has this, it's called a Tack and Peel sheet by Sukaneko, and it's just a sticky adhesive that works for unmounted rubber stamps. And so what I do is I just have this single block that I use over and over that I can use unmounted stamps on. So I don't have to worry about mounting them. Now, there's also some foam adhesive that you can use to create like your own cling style stamps with these, I believe, as well. But this is just what I find easy to do. So there you can see I've created my journaling block. I'm going to cut that out. One thing that I've been getting a lot of questions about is how I print perfectly on either pre-made journaling pages or stamped ones. So I'm going to show you. It's the same process for both. I've showed it quickly in several videos before. I don't know that this will be a lot longer explanation, but I will try to show again how I create perfectly placed computer generated journaling. So I cut that out and I rounded the corners. So I already have that all done. So just like a pre-made tag, this is the next few steps are how I go about making my journaling. In my word processing program, I print up the journaling. The one you see on the top is how it just normally types out, and you can see how it's really close together. What I do is I go up and change the line spacing and separate those lines so that they're further apart. Now this doesn't always work, but it did work for today's layout. Sometimes I do have to put it through my printer one line at a time, or a couple lines at a time, or something like that. But I always print it out on some regular paper first, hold up my journaling tag with the regular paper and see if they line up and match, and I keep doing that until I get it how I need. So here you can see this is about a 1.3, I think, line spacing. I'll hold that up to the light and then temporarily adhere that tag over the journaling. And there it is printed out. I just ran it through one time. Another tip is I don't put the adhesive on the tag. I put it on the printer paper. I find that you're able to pull your journaling off much easier and not ruin your journaling block this way. Okay, you can see I've laid out a few more supplies here, or embellishments rather, and then I'm going to add a little bit of stamping a little bit more stamping and things like that. Actually, before I go ahead and finish with the embellishments and the additional stamping, I'm going to speed through the adhering of all the different elements of the page. Here is that dark brown cardstock shadow that I was talking about earlier that I switched the black out with. I just thought the brown went better with this particular page. And that little touch of shadow really does help the title, especially made out of pattern paper like this, layered on pattern paper. It helps it pop off of the background. Adhering my different layers. I did adhere my title too close to the top of the page, and so I do end up having to kind of pull it off and move it down. I was lucky I didn't tear anything doing that. I really should have probably not adhered it until I had those where I wanted it, but it wasn't until I had those layers down that I noticed that I had it too high or too close to the top of the page. And I wanted more of that really pretty yellow paper with the blue flowers to show than what is showing right now. So I'm just going to grab some little tags here from one of the new American Crafts lines, and I'm just tucking those along the border and adding my stamped circle embellishments. And creating that border also helps with the continuity of the page. So it's just keeping with the border. There's the title border, an embellishment border, or a punched border. Then there's the border of the tags and the embellishments there, a border of photos, and the border at the bottom of the page. What I'm doing here is taking another one of the stamps from Stamping Bella, and it's a definition stamp, and they have tons of these really cute definition stamps that I love adding these kind of things to my page. They make great embellishments. And what I decided to do, and unfortunately I'm sorry I'm out of the scene here, I'm using two different colors of ink, a blue, which I think is Pool Party maybe, something like that, and a green, which is Pear Pizzazz, and they're Stampin' Up inks, but they coordinate nicely with the papers I'm using. And you can see that I did a blue for the word, and then I did the green ink for the definition, and then I rounded those bottom two corners. And then I'm just tucking that underneath one of my borders here, or those borders there, right underneath the title. And that just goes with the rest of the embellishments in that little strip there with all the tags and the journaling block and things. Here I'm just trimming off the photos that are overhanging. I flip my page over, and then I'm just going to trim that all up. Make sure anything that was hanging off the edge of the page is trimmed off. You can see there's the Remember This circle at the top. Go ahead and adhere that. And that just kind of ties in those little circle accents from the top of the page all the way down to the bottom of the page. Once I've done that, I have a little bit more stamping, or one more thing I want to stamp. It's a little phrase also from the August Studio AE stamp set, and it's Just the Way You Are, and I'm going to stamp that along the bottom edge of the page, and it just adds a nice little accent. It also ties into the theme of the page. Now I'm ready to add those additional embellishments that kind of finish off the design. And a lot of times I speed through that through my videos, so I thought I would slow it down a little bit today and kind of just show my process, I guess, for adding embellishments. I grabbed some of my clips and my buttons and brads, and I just grabbed the colors that I think coordinate with my design, and I grab whatever there is there that catches my eye, I guess. Like this fabric brad is probably a basic gray one or something like that. I take all of mine out and I sort all of these kind of embellishments by color. So I just grab things that coordinate with this page. Tying a little divine twine on one of the tags. Just kind of a hodgepodge, I guess, of different things that I think look good. I don't want it to be too much, but at the same time, I want to have a little bit of dimension. There's a lot of layers of paper here, paper and photos, and the little touches of embellishment just really add that additional texture that makes the page have that completed and finished look. So I'm going to sew on a button. These are some of My Mind's Eye buttons from their Lost and Found 2 collection. I love those button cards. They have lots of really fun buttons on them. These are some kind of wood-looking natural buttons. I thought that would be nice for an outdoorsy type page like this one is. And a lot of times I like to replace the little dot for a letter I, like in the title here, with either a brad or a button or some sort of an embellishment. I think that it's a fun place to add an embellishment, and it also adds that little fun touch, I think. Just tying a little string to another one of these tags. This is just a little cream colored string. Tie a little bow on it. I'm not going to add something to all the tags, but I did want to add something to quite a few of them, just to add that finished look. Get my bow perfectly situated. Another tip, if you're doing bows like this, especially out of string, things that might not hold as good, I don't necessarily do this with ribbon, but with the string, I take glossy accents and put a little dab right where the knot is, and it keeps the string from coming loose in either your page protector or if it's on a card when you mail it. That's just a little tip for securing those little string bows. I'm going to tie another or sew another button on here near the bottom of my page. Double knot it on the back. And after all the embellishments are adhered, the page is finished. For more information on this layout, please visit twopeasindabucket.com on August 24th, 2011. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.